Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com. The Samsung Galaxy Nexus has an extremely high resolution display. 1280 pixels down by 720 pixels across. It's a true 720p display, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because there are 42-inch plasmas and LCD screens out there that you watch TV on that have this resolution, yet Samsung was able to pack it into a small 4.6-inch screen, which means that images are super crisp and clear, text is ultra sharp, and you can fit a lot on the screen at one time. So in this video, we're going to talk all about this 720p display, whether it makes a difference, we're going to compare it to other devices, and talk about how it performs when reading a book, when browsing the web, when looking at photos, and when watching videos. So let's get to it. So here we have the Samsung Galaxy S2, the Galaxy Nexus, also by Samsung, and the iPhone 4S. All three of these devices have a very different screen technology that lend to different qualities. So the iPhone 4 has what Apple calls a Retina display. It's an LCD display with IPS technology for better viewing angle. The sub-pixel configuration, meaning what makes up the little pixels, is RGB. So each pixel has its own set of sub-pixels to make up each pixel. On the Galaxy Nexus, we have a pentile display. It's called the Samsung Super AMOLED HD screen. It doesn't have the plus, which means that it's not the RGB sub-pixel configuration like you do find on the Galaxy S2, which means that sub-pixels are actually shared. And as you're going to see, the screen isn't as amazingly crisp as you think it would be because of this sub-pixel configuration. You especially get to see a little bit of graininess when you look at text. And finally, on the Samsung Galaxy S2 here, we've got the Super AMOLED Plus, Samsung's best screen, and it is using the RGB sub-pixel configuration. Very different resolutions here. We've got WVGA, 800 down, 480 across. The Galaxy Nexus, it is 1280 down and 720 across, the highest of the three. And over here, the iPhone 4S, of course, is 960 down by 540 across. So we're going to start off with a book here. We're going to go into the Kindle application, and we're turned to the exact same page on all of these devices, and we're set to the smallest text size. So right off the bat, you can see that you can read a lot more at one time on the Galaxy Nexus just because the screen is higher resolution in this direction. It's 1280 pixels down. So you look at where they start. They all start in the same area. Whose? This goes down to everyone, which is right here. And over here, it's probably on the next page. Let's see, where's that word, everyone? It is right here, everyone. And this goes far beyond that word, everyone. You get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines on the Galaxy Nexus. Now, how is the text? How does the text look on the screen? Fortunately, this camera has some really good zoom, so I'm going to bring this in a little bit, and you can get a sense for how these letters look. Okay, so take a look at those letters. Very crisp and smooth. You can't see any pixels, even with a magnifying glass on the iPhone 4. Okay, so let's take a look at the screen on the Galaxy S2. Also quite smooth, but you begin to see pixels because we're only dealing with an 800 by 480 panel. If you look around the W there, sort of where the W goes up and down, you can see pixels that comprise that letter. So not as good as the iPhone. And here with the higher resolution pentile display of the Galaxy Nexus, it's kind of a combination of both of these other devices. You can see pixels if you look very closely, but it looks very smooth. Not as smooth as it should look for having such a high resolution display, and again, that's happening because of this pentile sub-pixel display configuration. In daily practice, you really don't notice it that much. If you have really great eyesight, you're probably going to notice that the screen is a tiny bit grainy compared to how it should be with so many pixels on the screen. So let's talk about how videos look. So we've got a really, really high resolution video pulled up here on YouTube, so you can get a sense for how the videos look on all of these screens, and you can take a look at color and detail and things like that. So let's zoom in a bit, and we're going to play the video, and we're going to throw them into landscape. So we'll try to play them at the same time. Say Google Video. They're all set to the high quality setting, and they're all going to go ahead and play. So I'm going to flick them all into landscape. so they all fit on the frame here.
Our goal is actually to make improvements to search that just answer the user's information need, get them to their answer.
And so we'll slide off the iPhone for a second, take a look at the Super AMOLED versus the Super AMOLED Plus, or actually Super AMOLED HD versus the Super AMOLED Plus.
Just answer the user's information need, get them
A little
to
bit
their
whiter
answer
here,
faster and faster.
potentially slightly better contrast. But if you look at the clarity on the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, it's obscene. This is playing in full HD. All pixels are being used on the screen, all 1280 by 720. When we get back to the shot of a person's face, you're really going to be able to tell just how crisp and clear this is. It's like having an HD TV in your pocket. And hopefully that's coming across on video. On the Galaxy S2, it's still very crisp and clear, but it's just not as eye-popping as on the Galaxy Nexus. Let's bring over the iPhone. Of course, with the strange aspect ratio of the iPhone, more of a 4:3 aspect ratio, you get bars on the top and the bottom. It really doesn't maximize the view. Let's fast forward a little bit so we're around the same spot. Much better viewing experience on the Galaxy Nexus with that high resolution, the 4.65-inch display, and no black bars. So here we have the same web page loaded on all three of these devices, and I'm trying to keep the URL bar hidden so we're maximized in screen space. And as you can see, you see about the same on both Samsung devices. We're going down to this story here. You can see kind of down the same page, the same amount. But what's different between these two devices is on the Galaxy Nexus, you can actually read the text here on the screen. Hopefully the camera can focus. Whereas on the Galaxy S2, you can't read the text. There are not enough pixels to make up these tiny letters for you to be able to see the web page in this zoomed out view. On the iPhone 4S, like the Galaxy Nexus, you can read text in the zoomed out view. It's very difficult, and if you have trouble seeing, you're probably going to need to put on your glasses, but it's there and you can see it. Now let's look at color reproduction and contrast and that sort of thing. You can't beat the Super AMOLED in terms of contrast. Blacks are ultra black. If you kind of look over here at this device and that device, and then over here on the iPhone, blacks are kind of like a dark gray. So high marks for web browsing thanks to this 720p display, and it gets even better when you put it into landscape. Because now, if you couldn't read the text before in the zoomed out view, you definitely can, because things get bigger and easier to read in this wider screen view when you flip into the landscape orientation. And finally, we've got the same image up here on the screen. It's a 1920 by 1080 image, and let's zoom in and see how the photo looks when we get full screen, very close to a lot of detail. Let's try to get the nose exactly the same on all the screens. You can kind of compare the level of detail, the quality of the color and the contrast between these three, and decide for yourself which one looks the best here. Naturally, I'm going to say that the Galaxy Nexus looks the best here just because it's clearer, crisper. The skin tone looks a little bit more natural here on the Galaxy Nexus. The blue eye looks a little bit more blue. Of course, the contrast on both of these devices seems to be better than what you get on the iPhone 4S. If you look at the glasses here on the iPhone 4S, the black is not very black. It's just a very dark gray, and you get deeper blacks here in the Super AMOLED screens. Now, in terms of the sub-pixel configuration, let's get really close on this guy's eye. And I'm going to bring the camera close, and I don't want to go past the point of the resolution of the image. And I'm going to bring the camera close to both of these. Let's zoom in, and you can kind of see for yourself if you can tell the difference between the pentile configuration here of the subpixels and RGB here on the Galaxy S2. Very tough to tell right here. It really comes through with text, like I said earlier. If you're looking at text, you have a very sharp eye, you can notice that the text just doesn't seem to be as crisp and clear as you would expect with a 720p display. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see a web browser comparison with the Galaxy Nexus and these other devices we just showed you, we'll put a link up here, and if you want to see the latest and greatest features of Android Ice Cream Sandwich, we'll put a link up over here. Thanks for watching, and that's it for now.